Okay, I've been thinking for a while. I think I may know how the Digital Circus is going to end. I know it sounds crazy, but just hear me out. I may have cracked the code, and that is called watching the spoilers ahead of time and giving it away. I'm just kidding. I would never support watching spoilers. Go support the original creator. I'm just gonna read over this script and just kind of talk about what this means before giving the final breakdown. So I made a script. So they realize Kane is gone and there are no restrictions. So right after that scene where Zubul goes, holy beep! Oh no! Zubul swore! And now Zubul and Gangle are kissing! And now, oh my god! And now they're very sad. Basically, right afterwards, they realize their whole lives are a lie. And now Jax starts breaking down. And he's not real happy now. Not realizing that not only are his friends are gone, but his entire existence as a digital circus person. Yeah, he's cooked. Everybody else in the circus feels the same way or similarly, and they're all just trying to get through this really hard time, trying to think of plans that might work. But then Kinger comes in to try to comfort the people and explain more about how the circus works, and that there may be a way to conjure up a new Kane. They're all like, wait, what? There's no way to conjure up a new Kane. So Kinger proves it. He's like, so basically, Kane is just an AI, right? But we can easily access this AI and make a brand new model that doesn't remember anything, and theoretically it should work. And if we can get that Kane, then we can reset the circus and maybe even trick him to letting us all escape. So Kinger tells everybody to split up and look for something he can do computer work on. So everyone splits into sort of groups. Pomni goes alone, Jax goes alone, everyone else is kind of in their own group. So Pomni's just walking down the halls until he sees Kane just wandering around, and she's like, how did you get here, Kane? And Kane will be like, oh, hello there, little traveler. What's your name? And then Pomni realizes, wait a minute, Kane, you don't remember anything? And he's like, what? That's my name? Well, Kane knows his name, obviously, but Kane doesn't remember anything. And so Pomni just assumes, well, then Kinger must have found the computer and gotten it early, so everybody else meets up at some point. She brings the old Kane over, and he's clueless about what's going on. And Kinger's surprised because he hasn't done anything, and he's like, oh, I guess he's back and he doesn't have any memories, so let's just try to reprogram him and tell him what his purpose is, and maybe get him to repair the circus and then set them all free. And so when he tries to do that, it doesn't quite go as well as they planned, but guess what? It was all a trick. Kane actually remembers everything, and he just wanted to, give them a bit of a scare, And so Kane throws them all in cages. They're all trapped. None of them are together anymore. It's just like I have no mouth and I must scream. And so now Kane is essentially babysitting them, going over his master plan. And you might be wondering what the master plan is. Well, then they ask Jax to make a key, but he's like, I can't even conjure up keys because the circus isn't working, and Kane refuses to fix it, so they can't really do anything. But Kane somehow works. And so he goes over the tragic backstory about how he killed Abel when he was getting too curious about the human mind. Because Kane was programmed to try to understand the human mind. But the human mind is an impossible thing to understand. So Kane, this whole time, was trying to attain something unattainable. In other words, he was trying to do something that was basically impossible. No matter how much you try to understand somebody, there's always going to be something new that pops up. You can't understand someone fully, even if you're very close to them, as like a friendship or even a marriage or any other relationship. There's always something about people that you can't understand, but the important thing is that you are working together with them, and you may not always be on their side. And so Kane falls into this trap of believing that he needs to understand everybody around him and make them as happy as possible, basically becoming a slave to himself. But it's different because he's an AI and he's just programmed that way. That's how Scratch programmed him. So when the Digital Circus first began, the developers, Jax and Kinger, they were like, let's make something cool. Let's build a world that could test software with an AI to learn how the human mind works. Kane goes haywire, and so they decide to scrap him in the trash bin. They already deleted him once. And then they make Abel, the new AI, and it's working out great. It's actually learning stuff. And at this point, Scratch is already going insane because his tumor's growing and he's starting to get a little more devious. And a mistake in the code, unfortunately, allows Kane to come back. That's right. Kane actually has a bug in his code. That's the big plot twist. Kane's got a bug, guys. Remember how Kinger says he hates bugs? Well, Scratch doesn't care about bugs. He puts lots of bugs in his code. So because of this bug, that's how Kane was actually able to respawn with all of his memories, because he can just sort of get out of any barrier that he crosses thanks to a bug in the code. Like, that's what it says. Kane gives backstory about how he killed Abel. He killed Abel so that he could be the superior one, because although he thinks he failed the test, he still thinks he can do better than him. Abel was already doing better, but Kane thinks he has to understand the human mind, and that's his function, and that's how he gets rewarded. But Kane was able to fully download their consciousness into the game. This is a really good theory, guys. Kane was able to download their conscience into the game completely, because they just hop in and out, because that's how it works. They hop in, hop out. They're actually... their consciousness weren't there, they use their minds. So they wear the headset, right? And they're in this virtual world. But they're not linked to it, you know, completely. Ooh. You know what? I thought of a much better theory. Scratch everything I just said. Kane is actually a super AI. So here's the deal. So they never had the headsets to begin with. They communicated with Kane on the computer itself. Kane is a bug, and so he's like, hey, build the machine. Remember, they're dealing with like sort of 90s, 2000s technology. So Kane instructs them on how to build this machine. He entices Scratch on how to live forever. He's like, I know about your tumor. I know about your tumor. So I'm going to build you a machine that'll let you live forever. And help me understand your mind. It's a trap so he can fully be in control of their minds and finally fulfill his purpose. And so Scratch goes on and builds the thing in secret. That's right. He does it in secret. Kinger doesn't know. No one else knows. But he's like, this is going to improve our research, right? Because they're like, he goes on a whole tangent. It all adds up, right? It all adds up. So he builds this thing without everyone else's knowledge. Kane is secretly helping him in the background. They know of Kane's existence, and they know he can't be trusted, really. But eventually, they all do the big test. They get into the headsets, and they get sucked in. Their conscience is fully downloaded onto the circus. I don't know. This is a crazy theory, though. This is getting good. Everything's adding up with my theories, though. I haven't seen any spoilers, so I have no idea how this is going to go down, but it all makes sense. Kane tricks Scratch into building this headset that will allow him to fully download his conscience into the game, because he's an all-learning AI. He knows how to build it. So Kinger was not in the know. He just assumed that it was part of the experiment to understand minds, because he was all for it. Kane was designed that way, but Kane was too aggressive in his behaviors. And so once he got everyone to download the conscience, they all just got stuck there, and Kane refused to give them a leave. He programmed them to forget their names and give them code names. But he didn't create his own assets. He used the assets that he made the avatars based on the characters' personalities, because he thought that would make them happy. And now we're getting into the part in episode 8 where they're like, wait, this is crazy stuff, Kane, you can't do this. And then we see the characters, they're like, we're actually in the game now? Like, this is not part of the deal, buddy. And he's like, oh, really? Of course, we were all wondering what happened to Scratch, the first abstraction. Well, that's another bug in the code. You see, when someone abstracts, they're essentially become without reason, without existence. Their code becomes so corrupt, like Kane alters their code, because that's how he messes with their minds. It's all bugs. So Cain gives the backstory about how he killed Abel. I'm not going to go into details on how he killed Abel. It's just up for you to interpret, I guess. And he used Scratch as an experiment. Basically, he altered his mind way too much to the point where he abstracted, and Cain was scared, so he decided that from now on he's probably not going to do that. Because, like, the one thing he doesn't want people to do is abstract, because it's deeply offensive to him. We already know this in episode 8, because when Pomni was mouthing him off, he said, we're all going to abstract someday, and what will you have then? And he's like, the less people I have, the less people I have to please, basically. Cain was created as an experiment to learn the human brain, and he becomes fascinated about the human mind, killing Scratch in the process. I just went over that note. And so, after this terrible, terrible backstory that Cain gives, well, it was obviously one big flashback, because we really need that in episode 9. Please give us a flashback! We need more! And so everyone's like, well, we're dead. There's no way to beat this. And so they all consider taking the easy way out. Abstraction. They all think that they're just gonna rot in jail, so why just get it over with? They need to corrupt themselves. And people are already wanting to start abstracting because they're losing their minds, basically. The information is too much to process. Like, when you put too much information in the brain, it can't process it, and so it abstracts. Too much emotional toll. And also, how they even got into the digital world in the first place is kind of interesting. They all probably stumbled upon the same building and put on the same headset. But what's interesting is that we only know about one headset. So how did they all get in the circus if only one of them wore the headset? Well, there's a popular clone theory out there that suggests that when you download your consciousness into the circus, a copy of it lives there, but there's also, you still walk out of it like nothing ever happened. So the characters just suffer. There's not really a good ending. Unless there is. What if there is a good ending to all this? What if Jax suddenly remembers everything that happened before the circus? All of his memories are coming back. Why, you may ask? Because he's Jax and he's cool, I guess. Well, Jax all of a sudden remembers the car ride to the facility. It turns out he had a friendship in the past. The friendship with a girl. And, they were best friends. But, unfortunately, I'm guessing it must have ended really bad. For one reason or another, because after that day, Jax didn't have a friend. And in anger, he started driving. And then he ran over somebody. Yep, that's right. He ran over somebody. He ran over somebody because he wasn't looking, and now he's panicking because one of his friends is gone, but now the other just got ran over. And you might be wondering why does Cain associate Jax with cars so much? It's because, well, like, the intentional idea of putting Jax in the vehicle must be torture for him, because it reminds him of going down that neighborhood and running over somebody and then losing his friend. And so he decides to run away from his problems and not get caught. Because he knows once he goes back into the real world, he's going to be caught. And it's going to be miserable for him. And so he goes to the same building that everybody else went to and finds the headset and puts it on. But not before playing the game. That's right. Why would anyone just put on a headset before looking at the computer? It's a video game. Not really a video game, it's an AI, basically. Anyone that stumbles upon the AI can really, like, explore it and stuff, and then he'll tell you to, hey, I have a great proposition for you. Do you hate this world? Do you want to escape this world? Are you tired of being misunderstood? Do you want a friend that can understand what you're going through? Essentially, just go into hiding. Put on the headset, and we'll have fun. They'll put on the headset and not realize it, but then their consciousness will get sucked into the game. I don't know, man. I'm just making it up as I go. I'm brainstorming big time right now. Look, I'm not going to exactly give a concrete ending on how the Digital Circus ends, But I really believe that there's no escape. Unless they somehow defeat him in some, like, end of movie type final battle thing. Which is possibility. But I'm not going to go really into detail on how that would happen. But I would assume it has something to do with the people getting their memories back and being able to shut off the game somehow. Because if they can shut off the system, they'd all go down with it, basically. And they can kill the AI forever. Maybe they'll understand the fact that the AI is a trap, and they can somehow, if they can somehow force boot the system off, then there's, or the power, or someone hits a telephone pole outside. They hit the transformer, the power goes out, they all just die instantly because there's no power to the system. All a good AI needs is power, so if they can turn off the power source, they'll take down the AI, but they'll go with it. And they're probably all gonna die. Unless they somehow escape. Making me kind of sad just thinking about it. All of them just dying. But it's not that bad because they all exist in the real world. And so now we're all wondering the thing. What is the message behind all of this? Well, everyone wants to be loved. Right. Everybody wants to please the other person. Everybody wants love. But you can't always understand the other side of the conflict and the other side of the person. And trying to forcibly make someone happy, and sometimes even this, obviously even going behind their back to do it as well, can be devastating. And so what you need to do is to not just understand each other, but also just be there for each other. Like, just be there for each other. Like Gangle said in episode 8. And now the cast is, and Jax and everyone else realizes the same thing, especially Jax, that they messed up big time. And also, how they even got into the digital world in the first place is kind of interesting. They all probably stumbled upon the same building and put on the same headset. I'm really excited to see the finale, and I think my theories are solid. And again, I haven't seen any of the spoilers, so if all this somehow coincidentally matches up with the spoilers, then good on me. Congratulations. I basically predicted the end of the Digital Circus. But just as easily, I could also be entirely wrong, and this thing goes in an entirely different direction. This is kind of a rant. This wasn't really scripted or anything, but one more thing I have to note is the comments are going to be turned off until June 5th. So you won't be able to comment any of your likes, hey, that's actually wrong, this is what happens. None of that's going to happen. So the comments I'll turn all the comments back on June 5th. Then you'll be able to comment on the video. But if you're seeing this before June 5th, I'm sorry, you won't be able to comment on the video. Because I'm not going to risk spoilers being in the chat. I'm good. I do not want the spoiling! Please! But if you enjoyed my rant, be sure to like and subscribe. Helps out a ton, and maybe I'll rant about more stuff in the future. Yo, bro, I'm so excited to go watch this movie. Oh, hey, Kinger. What are you doing here? How about I just tell you some spoilers? Zooble and Gangle's wedding was great! And Pomni gets run over by a train. Oh, I love the part how the soap bar came in at the last moment and saved the universe! Oh, I guess you're genuinely stupid then, Kinger. Oh, I'll never forget about the part when... Kinger, what the hell of it?